Today's video is going to be about how to build KRO and really any other nuker damage dealer like ARGEN or NARIN. A little bit harder to build than Naomi because they don't get those crit rate buffs. But I'm going to show you 4 different rune sets for them. If you like all my videos and like my content, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell ding dingy thing so you know when I post a video. Let's go, baby. Tip of the day. The tip is I'm gonna be gone in San Antonio, Texas for a week. I have pre-recorded videos for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this coming week. It's gonna be about true free-to-play teams for all the hard mode dungeons. EU, Asia, you don't have hard mode yet, but you can still use those teams in all levels. I'm gonna be focusing on hard mode level 1 because hard mode level 2 is really just a power level cap. It depends on where you are and how strong you are in the game. If you beat hard mode level 1, you can get 6-star runes, make your monsters stronger, and you'll get the power level cap to go into level 2 and use the same team. But just look out for these pre-recorded videos coming up. The more you know. Alright, so Dark Inagami KRO, he is your cheap man version of ARGEN or NARIN. He's the free-to-play version. ARGEN and NARIN are going to have better base stats, so they will outperform KRO, but they're all built the same. All these units require better runes because you need to max out their crit rate. That's one extra stat that you need to build for these units. KRO is a unique character because he needs a lot of stats to really perform at top level. His basic attack can apply defense down and poison, so not only crit rate, crit damage, and attack, accuracy and attack speed would benefit KRO as well. However, you don't want to prioritize those 2 stats over attack, crit rate, or crit damage. Those are just a plus. If you can get those stats in the runes, then so be it. His first skill is really just for when he's not soul linked. It will do good damage and apply a level 1 damage taken up debuff. So he is a good secondary nuker as well, if you have someone else for soul link. He pairs really well with Naomi when Martial Cat. But his bread and butter is his second skill, Attack Scar. It's a high damage modifier and does more damage the more harmful effects the enemy has. Just like ARGEN, just like NARIN. He also gets a self level 2 attack speed buff, which does stack when you're spamming this on Soul Link, which is another reason why you don't really need to focus on attack speed. My KRO is a 15. And I'm going to showcase 4 different rune sets in this testing. So there's 4 different ways to build them. Really just depends on your runes. The first set's going to be a typical Rage Blade set, aiming for as much crit damage as possible. I have attack percent in slot 2, crit damage in slot 4, and an attack flat in slot 6. Now again with attack flats and attack percentages in your main slot. As you see in slot 6, I have an attack flat main stat with an attack percent as a substat. The attack's at 3,455. If I replace this with an attack percent main stat, the change in total attack is very small. It actually goes up 20 attack, but my crit damage and crit rate goes down because of substats. So it depends on the runes you have and the substat rolls that you get. So it's not 100% guaranteed that you go attack percent, crit damage, and attack percent. Whatever makes your overall stats better. So I'm using the attack main stat because it gives me a little bit more crit damage and crit rate. Now what we're going to do is attack a neutral element boss. I'm bringing Megan for the attack buff and the attack speed buff. She also has a debuff of evasion down. I'm bringing Helia for the defense break and the damage taken up buff. And again, I'm using Dark Orbia to put as many debuffs as I can on the boss. We're going to put as many debuffs as we can on the boss and test out KRO's second skill. Alright, KRO's got attack buff, everything like that. 209,000, 209,000. That was with 8 debuffs. 195, so 200k is what we hit. The next build we're going to try is a Rage Blade set, but instead of crit damage in slot 4, we're just going for more attack. It's a main stat flat attack, but with a big attack percent in substat. This rune set has 700 more attack, but 68% less crit damage. So again, let's get as many debuffs as we can on this boss and then see how much damage he can do. 189,000, 202,000, so it's about the same, 202,000. I'm going to try to see if I can cap it up a little bit higher. I actually didn't crit on that with 94% crit. And that's the difference between KRO and Naomi. 191,000. It's just so much easier to build Naomi over anyone else. Alright, so this build 700 more attack and 68 or whatever percent crit damage less does about the same amount of damage. Alright, now this set is a full blade set. If you're having trouble finding those crit rate substats, you can go full blade. Again, comparing this set to the last set, it has 345 less attack, but it has 32.6% more crit damage. And with full blade, you don't really need to worry about crit rate subs too much. You do need maybe a little bit, but now you can focus on attack percent and mainly crit damage. 3,800 attack, 183 crit damage. Let's see if this set can beat the 202,000 mark. Alright, let's get these debuffs up. Get all the debuffs I can on the boss. I got defense break, there we go. Now let's just see how much damage we can do. 223,000. Already beaten it, 230,000. And this is on a full blade set, not the rage blade that everybody recommends. 217,000. Like I said, it's always about overall stats. There's not one end-all be-all rune set for these damage dealers. That's what I've been trying to say for months and months. When people ask me to recommend what rune sets are for monsters, it really does not matter. End game, yes, it matters. But you're going to have a plethora of runes with all different types of substats. That's the main focus in the main game. Overall stats, people. Alright, now this last set is a Fatal Blade set. This has the most attack out of all of the other 3 rune sets. 4,445. Crit damage is low, 165, but it was higher than that second set, which did the same damage as the first. As you see, this was the second set. This has 281 more attack, and it has 15% more crit damage on Fatal set. Comparing this set to just the last set, with the highest hit of 230,000, this new set has 626 more attack and 17% less crit damage. So again, let's get these debuffs on the boss and see how much damage we can do. Let's get defense break, there we go, there we go. Alright, we got 4 stacks of defense break, damage taken up, and bam, 224,000, 224,000. I'm going to try to see if I can beat that, try to get 8 debuffs, 223,000. So still high numbers, but in my opinion, I feel like crit damage is more of a focus for KRO, just due to the fact that he does more damage for the more debuffs he has, and a crit damage modifier is going to be better for that type of skill over attack. I mean, we've had some big jumps in the attack numbers and very small movement in crit damage. I'm going to test out the last set one more time, which is the Full Blade set, because this was a jump in 600 attack and only a movement of 17% crit damage. You would think that this new rune set on Fatal would do way more damage because of the increase in attack and barely any in crit damage. So again, one more time, I'm going to test this on the Full Blade set and see what we can do here. Get the attack buff from Megan if she ever casts it. There we go. And 230,000. So in conclusion, for KRO, NARIN, ARGEN, all of these units that do more damage depending on how many harmful effects is on the enemy, crit damage should definitely be your number one stat. However, you do need some kind of balance with attack as well. The very first set, which had 35% more crit damage but 300 less attack than this set, which was the highest damage amount, and barely hit over 200,000. But just in case, we'll try it one more time. We are on the set that has the highest crit damage but the lowest attack. And again, just for testing purposes, we got to test multiple times. That's the IT world. And then let's just get the attack buff and see how much damage KRO can do. 224,000. 224,000. It didn't hit the 230,000 mark, but it came close. I don't know what the difference was between the first test and the second for this particular rune set. 215,000, 233. I think it just has to deal with the RNG of the training area. There's no way I can permanently put debuffs on the boss, and I wish we could do that. That would be a better way to test out these units and be a little bit more precise. But the one conclusion I can come up with for KRO, NARIN, ARGEN: crit damage is your friend and should be your #1 priority. We've shown that even with low attack, if you have higher crit damage, he will do more damage. And that's really about this skill, the damage modifier based on the number of targets' harmful effects. The difference between KRO, ARGEN, NARIN, and like our Wind Marshal Cat free-to-play champion, Naomi, it only increases her crit damage per target's harmful effect. So while she can do a lot more damage when there's more harmful effects, that's only due to her crit damage increase from her passive. KRO and others like him is based off of his skill. He has the same crit damage and attack. That's not what goes up. It's the actual damage from the skill. So like I said, prioritize crit rate. Try to get at least above 90%. Because if you don't crit, it sucks. I did miss one crit with 94% crit. I always like the guaranteed 100%. He is dark, but when you're fighting neutral bosses, you don't get that crit rate buff. So after crit rate, then go crit damage and then prioritize attack. So one more quick test. I was able to boost my crit damage up 26%. Definitely less crit rate as well. But if we can fight the RNG in getting a crit, we got more crit damage, so it should do more damage. So let's get the debuffs up and we'll do 2 stacks of Helia, and then we got an attack buff, and then see how much, 249,000. And that's how it's done. You just got to make sure that you crit, which I didn't on that second try. Definite moral of the story: crit rate to around 90%, then go full crit damage, then focus on attack. This is how you build KRO, ARGEN, and NARIN. Rune set really doesn't matter as long as you get high crit damage. And that's it for today's video. Again, for the whole next week, I will be gone. If there is a patch that is important, I will do some kind of video from San Antonio telling you about the most important things from the patch. But again, if you like all my content, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell dingy dingy thing. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.